कार्या कार्ये भया भये बन्धं मोक्षं च या वेत्ति बुद्धि सा पार्थ सात्विकी. One last time, let us recite it together, not collectively. We're not responsible, but together. So I'll explain these four factors for decision making. If we are in a path in our life, and we are right, and we have multiple directions in which we can go. So where to go? When we have to decide in life, say you took a decision that you came for this talk. Somebody else may decide, okay, that I want to watch some movie, I want to go here for this party or whatever. We all make decisions in our life. And some decisions are extremely consequential. Some decisions, okay, which college do I get into, which kind of job do I take? Or before an exam, a friend comes, let's go and go for a party. If you go for a party, maybe after the rest of our life, we'll never go to a party. Our whole life could be doomed. So decisions have consequences. So we'll try to understand what are the factors that lead us to taking our decisions, and how can we take decisions in a way that will create a better, a brighter future for us. So I talk about, we all have a arc of our life. Arc is a pathway. If a story, a movie has a character arc, where the arc is. So I'll talk about these four factors as arcs. So the first is our attraction or aversion. Pravrittimcha, nivrittimcha. So each one of us, when we are growing in our lives, we are naturally drawn to certain things. Some of us will. Now, when I'm doing attraction, I'm not talking about saying everyone likes to watch movies. I just like to have fun. That's okay, but I'm talking about something a little more meaningful. So we have a natural pravritti for self-awareness. So that requires self-observation. That through self-observation, we understand what are the things that I am naturally attracted to. When in the Mahabharata, Arjuna won the hand of Draupadi, at that time, they all were in the garb of Brahmanas. So Drupada wanted to know who are these people who got my daughter. So he said they were dressed like Brahmanas, but their physique and their ability suggests that they might be Kshatriyas. So he invited them all for a feast to his palace. And when they came to a feast, he brought them to a large hall and he asked them to see the asked them to see this, I'll come back in 2 weeks. On the opposite side in the hall, on a table, he had kept various objects. And then he, along with his son, they were watching from a hidden window. What is happening? And now there is some yajna paraphernalia, there's some thing which Brahmanas use. And then bows and swords and maces. Then there was some Vaishya paraphernalia, there were some flows and other things that yokes that farmers use. And then there was some artisans' tools. And then he was watching the Pandavas sat down, they looked around in the room, their eyes went to the table, and all five of them walked as one. Where did they go? Oh, the rapids. And then Bhima took out the biggest mace that was there and moved it around. Arjuna took up a bow, Yudhishthira took up a spear, And they all are talking about this company just like that. This looks a little better than that. Look at that. They absorbed completely. And Drupada distributor, these are greedy. These are Kshatriyas. These are so there is some natural attraction that we have. So self-observation, how do we, what is the key for self-observation? When we are going to make decisions in our life. Self-observation can be, we can note what we notice. We note consciously what we notice automatically. Note consciously what we notice automatically. And that is a good indication of what is our natural interest. So, for example, if I'm a very word conscious person, so if I'm driving in a car and there's some billboards, then the billboard may have some big image. My eyes first go to the caption, to the words. And if the words are interesting, then I look at the image. If the words are not interesting, I don't even look at the image. So that's my interest in words is like natural. For somebody else, it might be something else. So we note consciously what we notice automatically. And this is one important factor to certain responsibilities in life. And we say, okay, my natural interest is in music. So I'll give up my engineering, I'll just forget everything, I'll start doing this. No, but maybe in music you don't know how good a career is there. My family, I have some debts to take care of. I have this to do. My parents are taking loans for my education here right now. Let me take money. So we can't simply do whatever we are attracted to. That is one factor to consider. But we also need to be responsible. Now, responsible doesn't just mean externally society has told us do this. And you do this. Responsible, as you know, means response-able. Am I able to choose a response? If this is what I need to do, then I will do it. See, nobody in their life will ever be in a situation where they will always be able to do what they like to do. Even if somebody becomes a musician and they love music, but then to do music shows at various cities, they have to travel. And travel is a headache because they don't like to travel. Now, for those who don't travel, travel seems adventurous and glamorous also. But for those who travel regularly, travel can be so exhausting. Like every day, morning you wake up and you wonder which continent you are. Initially it's exciting, but it's afterwards it's quite disorienting after some time. It can be. So whatever we do, there are certain things. Nobody will ever have a life where they can only do whatever they want to. We will also have to do certain things which we do not like. So it's like in our life there is a balance. The activities that we do, some things which we like, some things which we don't like. Now sometimes we have to do the things we don't like so that we can get to things which we like. Even if say we are studying engineering. Now we may be interested in a particular engineering. Say if you are interested in electronics. But then maybe the first year of engineering we have to study various subjects. What has this got to do with engineering? No, but if you don't study it, you can't go to the next field. So even if we get a job, say if we like to do research. Now, we may like to do research, but to do research, we need to get funds. And for getting funds, we have to write papers, we have to get some sponsors. We don't like that. So we also have to have a sense of responsibility. This is the situation I am in, and I'm expected to do so in this situation. And if somebody sees the responsibility only as a burden, then that person will not really grow. Because one part of growth is doing what we like to do will flourish. The other part of growth is also having the capacity to do what we don't feel like. The discipline that is required. Everybody has to do that. So it's for our growth. See, I put this diagram in such a way that if we want to, if I'm here and I want to climb up, I want to get here somewhere. So sometimes the pushing force for me is attraction. I feel like doing it, so I do it. That's wonderful. But sometimes I may not feel like doing it. So then there's a responsibility. This is what I'm expected. Now, when suppose that the mother has a newborn, now having a child is one of the greatest joys of life, taking care of a child. But it is not a joy constantly. Isn't it? So both the parents have worked extremely hard throughout the day, and they're sleeping at the baby. And our small babies are like alarm clocks with no setting. Isn't it? Just go off anytime. At that time, the mother will not feel, the mother or the father will not feel like getting up to take care of them. But that's a responsibility. So if our parents had not been responsible like that, we wouldn't have been here. So the responsibility is important. That can and that will also be one thing that motivates us. Now, in many ways, we are going back over the arts and the acronym we're discussing. The C is the culture. Now, the culture often determines what we fear or what we don't. What culture does many things, but in a culture, based on the culture that we are in, certain things are acceptable and certain things are not acceptable. Say, if we are in a relatively cultured society, there are civilized, respected people. Even if we get angry, we won't say swear words. We won't use obscene language. Why? Because we understand this is disapproved. So that, and somebody doesn't have fear of that, then others should have fear of such a this person doesn't belong over here. So see, right now all of you are sitting, it's fairly crowded. Every one of you is perfectly confident, and the person sitting next to you is not suddenly going to turn upon you and slap you with it. Now, is it possible? I don't want to put ideas in your mind. But you could say anything is possible, but it is not very probable. If somebody has come for a spiritual talk, if they're interested in something like this, then it's quite likely they will have a certain level of discipline. Somebody goes to a place where everybody's taking drugs. And anybody goes high on drugs, and they go high and everybody goes low. Isn't it? It can do anything. Unpredictable. But so the culture that we are in, that determines bhaya and abhaya. And this bhaya and bhaya, I'm not talking about like the fear and the level of terror. I'm not talking about the terrorist threatening anyone or anything. But we all need a sense of boundaries in it. Now, of course, sometimes those boundaries are good, sometimes they may not be good. It depends. But our culture around us is also a factor that shapes our behavior. So, if a kid, a young person has been brought up in a fairly cultured family where the parents have taught good values, so don't get into habits like drinking or drugs or smoking. It can ruin them. And the kid comes and starts staying in a hostel. And in the hostel, there's a group of what you call school kids. And this boy wants to belong to the school kids. And all the school kids drink. So then what happens is that person goes, they have a party, everybody's drinking. He says, "What do you need to drink? We can have fun without drinking also." Yeah, we will have fun without drinking, without drinking. Go away from me. Now if people start saying like that, this person is very afraid. Oh, I'll be rejected. I'll be rejected. And all that person doesn't want to drink just to get a sense of being accepted and belong to that group, that person will start drinking. So what happens is we have this FOMO. What is FOMO? Fear of missing out. Now the fear of missing out, FOMO often creates FOMO. Now what is fear? We have FOMO, fear of missing out, but then there has to be a fear of messing up. In the name of FOMO, what happens is we have one kind of fear we have. Oh, I'll miss this out, I'll miss that out. And that's okay. We don't want to miss out. But there's another fear is fear of messing up. In the name of not missing that, I mean, okay, all these people are going and they're having fun. I don't want, nah, I don't want to miss out on that. But then we will mess up our own life because of that. See? So, what we should fear and what we should not fear. That is something which we decided for the children. So, what happens is in trying to be cool, often in trying to be cool, people become fool. They start doing things which they know they're not good. So, in one sense, for us, if you consider culture, it's like we may exist in different cultural circles. So, there could be one culture which sort of brings out the negative in us. And there could be another culture which brings out the positive in us. Say, in one culture, in one social circle, we go, and then everybody uses swear words. Every sentence has some obscene word in it. And if we hang out with those people, then that's how our speech will become. Now, in another culture, other place where the people speak politely, people speak fluently, maybe they are learning to be articulate, they're learning some higher values, higher truths. Right? Now, if we go there our speech will become cleaner, better. Now, so we exist in one sense in many social circles. There are many cultures which are influencing us simultaneously. So now, which culture do we fear or which culture we do not fear? So if some kids who make it that belonging to our group will require you to take out, then maybe we should not have the fear of missing out their group. That should we should have abhaya, not bhaya. Even if I am not actually someone say goodbye and good riddance. I'm better off without this. So that's something what we should fear and what we should not fear. That is important for us to say. When Krishna came to Karna, Krishna came first to Dhritarashtra as the peace messenger. Dhritarashtra was the king. Krishna spoke for a few minutes and Dhritarashtra said, Krishna, whatever you say, it's perfectly acceptable to me. But my son doesn't listen to me. So please speak to me. So this was very open admission. And actually, Dhritarashtra was not in power. Before about 10, 12 years ago, before that in India, one person was in the prime minister's seat, another person was in power. So, like that, Dhritarashtra was in the king's seat, but Duryodhana was in power. And Krishna spoke to the Guru. Krishna made a very reasonable case. But Duryodhana did not listen. And then, after that, Krishna decided that if we cannot fight the war, let us try to minimize them. And so he told Karna, I would like to meet you. Now, Krishna was very strategic about it. That if you see on the side of the Kauravas, there was Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, they were very powerful warriors, very experienced. But none of them had any hatred against the Pandavas. So they were fighting because they were obligated. Apart from Duryodhan and some of his brothers, not all his brothers were just as evil. They followed him, so that's how they did evil things. But apart from his brothers, the only persons who actually were against the Pandavas were Karna and Shakuni. Now, Karna and Shakuni, Shakuni, Karna was dangerous on the battlefield. Shakuni was dangerous on the gambling field. On the battlefield, he was not a very powerful one. So Shakuni was not that big a threat. So when Krishna called Karna, Krishna told Karna that you are actually the son of Kunti, the biggest father. And you always wanted to be respected Kshatriya, you are a Kshatriya. You come on the Pandava side, and all your dreams will be fulfilled. You will get the Pandavas will respect you as the eldest brother. You will be a Kshatriya, you will have power, you will have respect. And you will also help prevent this from happening. If Karna had come to the Pandava side, Either Duryodhana would have lost his confidence and had settled for some peace, his arrogance would have gone down, or even if he would have fought, the war would not have gone for so long. So unfortunately, Karna said, if just before the war, after I have promised Duryodhana, I will be his friend, I will be with him. If I leave him, what will people think? People will say that for the sake of a kingdom, I gave up my friend. Just, I can see two main reasons. He said that I cannot abandon Duryodhana. The second reason he said is I cannot abandon my parents. Kunti abandoned me, and it is my parents who took care of me. So now, just because I'm getting kingdom, I'm not going to abandon my parents. Now, if you see, at one level, these reasons seem reasonable. At another level, Krishna was not telling Karna to abandon his parents. No, circumstances can sometimes be peculiar. Krishna himself had two sets of parents. So Krishna, he left Yashoda and Devaki, Yashoda and Nandamata, but never abandoned or rejected them. He still loved them, but his duty required him to be elsewhere. So, would his parents have been happy if their son had become a king? They were so happy when he got Anga kingdom. That is given by someone else. But here, this would be his birthright. He was imagining a problem in many ways. But the second is, people will say, I abandoned you for the sake of a king. Now, which people are going to say this? It is Duryodhana who will say this. It is Duryodhana and Dushasan and Shakuni will say this. But there's another way of looking at it. If your friend is going on a path of destruction, then maybe this is the best way to stop your friend from going on the path of destruction. Isn't it? So, by acting on principles, he could have actually prevented a huge amount of bloodshed. So, whose criticism we fear, whose criticism we do not fear. That is important. Because in our life, whatever we do, there'll always be someone who will criticize us. The only way that we'll never be criticized, we don't want anyone to criticize us, then the only thing we should do is absolutely nothing. But the problem is that people will criticize us for doing nothing. So it's just not possible that we can please everyone. If you want to please everyone, start a free ice cream distribution charity. Typically everybody will be happy. But there's some people are saying, we're just increasing the calories of people. So in one sense, you could say it's like there will always be fear, but we can choose our fears. Choose our fears means choose what to be afraid of. Or rather, let's put it more present, choose whose rejection to be afraid of. Mhm. So, whose rejection should I be afraid of? If I don't drink, his friends will be unhappy. But if I drink, my parents will be unhappy. Then whose rejection is more important? So that is something which is that's why there's buddhi. Buddhi is a part of sadhana. So which culture I am a part of will determine what I should be afraid of and what I should not be afraid of. Which fear to take seriously and which fear to not take seriously. So karya karye bhayavadhi. And the last is bandham moksham chayavadhi. So we need to consider that we're discussing this chronic arcs. So what is the state I will attain? State means the condition that you could say the state or the status, the stature that I will attain is that is this in the long run going to take me to a better place or a worse place? So, what is right now, if I have to study, maybe studying is not very enjoyable, but that could give me a good job, that could give me some amount of financial stability and freedom, financial stability and flexibility. So, if I'm sicker, maybe restricting my diet is not really enjoyable. But if I do that, it will bring me to otherwise, right now I'm in a hospital bed, and sometimes people are sick, and that's why they're in a hospital bed. And sometimes they're sick, and they don't do anything to cure their sickness. And they're not doing exercise, not taking medicines properly. People have to come, it's not that you are sick now, the bed is sick of you now. So, now we can't always see the future, but we can to some extent see the consequences of our actions. If I do this is where it's going to take me. So what is this? What is the stage? What is the state, the status or status that I want to take? Which is going to be a better state, which is going to be a worse state. So when you talk about freedom and bondage, I'll make one last point and we'll have question answers over here. Freedom, that broadly there can be two kinds of freedom. There is most of the world talks about freedom for. Freedom for means what? No, I want to eat whatever I want. Who tells me I cannot eat this? Nowadays, especially with to some extent Western culture coming up, it's like physical relationship. I want to have with whoever I want to tell me to stop. So people want to live in together and people want to do all kinds of things. So there is then in the West there was something called a sexual revolution in the 1960s, where the sexual revolution was the idea that we want to have free love. Free love is all kinds of restrictions on sexuality. These are just a primitive religious hangover. We reject it and we'll be free. But the result of that, it's being seen increasingly in the West. Three things have happened. See, when you say when they say free love, it was not free love, actually it was free lust. It is. What happened was that three things happened. One is relationships become extremely unstable. It's like people, whenever people may be physically intelligent, but everyone knows that I am here today, but if something goes wrong, the other person will abandon me. And something goes wrong with the other person, that person, I may abandon them. Life is so insecure. If you go to office, you may not have your job. You come back home, you may not have your spouse. It's extremely, because what happens is, if I'm thinking that the only purpose of a relationship is enjoyment, then if that person stops giving me enjoyment, what is the point of being there? Or if somebody else promises me better enjoyment, why should I be there? So it's when I go across the world, travel, I speak, and I often speak about sociological problems that result from a non-spiritual, from a materialistic way of life. You can talk about karma and future consequences. We don't get into that. In the sociological level, when there's so many families fall apart. There was one friend who showed me a cartoon, similar to a man is taking a woman. Just see how happy your children, my children, and our children are playing. Did you get this? Your children, my children, and our children. So when you were married before, I was married before, and I have some children from there, and we have children together. So the idea is that normally in Indian schools, when kids meet each other, where do you stay? In American schools, kids ask each other, with whom do you stay, your mother or your father? So the assumption is the mother and the father are not together. And so the families are breaking apart. And it is really painful when people go through this. And not only the two people are scarred, but it's also children get scarred. The second problem that comes is relationships are unstable and people are so lonely. Is many times people go to therapists not because they're disturbed, but because they're lonely. Need someone to talk with. And in fact, in UK, the government actually created an official minister for loneliness. Later they found that minister was going to therapist for loneliness. So in the past we had joint families. Now we have nuclear families. Now we have the nucleus is split. There's this protons and electrons orbiting around in the vast space, knowing what to do. So there's loneliness. So relationships are unstable, people are extremely lonely. And loneliness is also associated with a lot of insecurity. And then the big problem is also childlessness. In India, the problem is the often population is exploding. In the West, the population is not population, the depopulation is a big problem. And if you go to any city, like if you go to park in New York or any other places, you'll see that often in the parks, more dogs are there than kids. Okay, there are people who have come, adults who have come, and it's not just an observation. In among the Caucasian population in America, Caucasian is the white Americans. Among them, the number of people who have pets is more than the number of people who have children. I was in LA and in Los Angeles, and I was doing a program for Westerners. So after that, many people were there, and then a couple came and they're talking with me. And then I asked them what they were doing. So the husband was working software. And the wife, she said, I'm a stay-at-home dog mom. I'm a stay-at-home dog mom. What does it mean? I stay at home and I take care of my dog. Now, so people feel that just shower their love on their dogs. I was actually I was in San Francisco and I was giving a talk at a yoga studio. So after the yoga studio, then there's a person I'm talking to these people, and one person said, "So he said I'm a yoga teacher." And then you yoga teachers? Yoga teachers. What is yoga? Yoga is yoga with dogs. So Google it. So seriously, actually. In fact, you're like, I move my arms, you train my dog also to move its paws. And actually, yoga teachers are paid more than yoga teachers. So, and there are yoga teachers, actually there are koga teachers. What is koga? Cats. So, so the point I'm making over here is that actually, if in America the population is going down very rapidly, in Japan it's a huge problem. In Singapore it's a huge problem. That's why these countries are accepting immigrants a lot. But then the problem with immigrants is that immigrants bring their own culture. Indians are actually considered to be the model minority in America. Model minority means Indians are law-abiding, tax-paying, family raising. But there are different kinds of immigrants who come and they disrupt law and they do all those things. So Elon Musk recently said that he tweeted that depopulation is one of the biggest problems for the Western world. So now one issue that if you just if you just want to have in India traditionally if a couple doesn't have a child, then they say that to be childless is considered to be it's an unfortunate thing. Don't look down on anyone. It's unfortunate. But in the West, people don't say I'm childless. I'm child free. I'm child free. Their parents were child free, maybe the world would have been free of them. So what happens is, so the very foundation of society will devastate if somebody just lives only for pleasure. So I was talking about freedom. So there is freedom for, you can have freedom for, basically it's lust. That is one kind of freedom. That will lead to devastation. So we're not talking about spiritual degradation or spiritual devastation. At the social level, there is devastation. Society cannot function. But this is one kind of freedom, but freedom can be another kind. There is freedom from. There is freedom for, and there is freedom from. So, for example, so there can be freedom from alcoholism. As somebody is an alcoholic and somebody is not an alcoholic. Then the two people go to a party, maybe they call the company has got a party. So one person goes to a party and then that person is alcoholic. They see a drink and then they don't see anything else. And even this, they talk with their boss. Their boss body changes into a bottle of alcohol. So on the other hand, somebody is not drunk and they have no interest in drinking. They are free from that. Their mental space is so much more available for doing constructive things. So in the Vedic tradition, freedom from is considered more important than freedom for. Freedom from greed, freedom from lust, freedom from anger, freedom from craving. This is very empowering. So, for example, if somebody is greedy, if you forget everything else, you can remember this greedy. Those who are greedy are always needy. If somebody is greedy, no matter how much they have, they'll always see, oh, this person has more than me, that person has more than me, that person has more than me. And they will never be satisfied. They will not be happy. They'll always be needing more. So to be free from greed is actually to have a lot of peace. So there is bandham moksham chayaviti. If I am going to do this activity, is it going to make me free or is it going to make me bound? I want to be free to smoke. I want to be free to drink. I want to be free to do this or that. Okay, but I think I'm being free right now. But what is happening is, am I going to become bound afterward because of this? So, bandham moksham chayaviti. So, in one sense, this is discipline and indulgence. Indulgence is doing whatever we want to do. So, in one sense, discipline, indulgence, it seems like freedom. It feels like freedom, but it leads to bondage. Discipline, it feels like bondage, but it leads to freedom. So when we are disciplining ourselves, okay, at this time I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do this. So this is the kind of food I'm going to do, this is not, these are the things I'm not going to do. It feels like why am I being restricted? But what happens is, this is freedom from. But this is, what happens is bondage to certain things. Person says, okay, if the child, their college years, they say, I'm not going to drink. And they don't drink. And then they say no once, twice, 5 times, 10 times. And then people also start pushing them. And then they also don't feel any temptation. They're free from it. And it's for those who have been alcoholics, they're trying to recover from alcoholism. It's a huge struggle. And to not have that struggle, it's a freedom that we don't value because we have not seen the flip side, the bondage. So, bandham moksham chayaviti. So, what state will I get to in the future? So, if you consider these 4 factors, then each one of us can make sound decisions based on considering buddhi, sapartha, sadhana. And when we study the Bhagavad Gita, when we understand the big picture of life, that also strengthens our intelligence. So Bhagavad Gita is not just, oh, you have to become devoted to God and now God and go back to God. Yes, that is there. But Arjuna had to fight a war. Arjuna had to practically act in the world. And the Gita is a guiding of helping us make better decisions even in this world. So through the study of the Gita, our intelligence becomes sattvic, our decisions become better. And through the better decisions, our life becomes better. Our life becomes better, and through our life becoming better, we can help make others' lives better. That is ultimately what will bring real value to us. I could do some good for myself, I could do some good for others. And that's what the Bhagavad Gita can empower each one of us to do. Let's summarize what I discussed today. I talked about decision making, the factors for decision making, as given in the Bhagavad Gita, or we could say good decision making. And discussed 4 factors. What is the acronym? So A was attraction. So through self-observation, pravrittimcha, nivrittimcha, we look at what is it that I'm actually attracted. So self-observation means especially we note what we notice. We all notice certain things, so those would indicate our natural interests. And to some extent, whenever a opportunity presents us, we can develop things. Okay, this is something which I'm interested in, which I have some passion, some attraction for. And then R was responsibility. Karyam, karya, karne, bhaya. So responsibility, this means that we are responsible for all of us. Sometimes there are things which the actions that we need to do, things which we like to do, and these can help us to grow in mastery. But don't like to do, that can also help us to grow, because what happens is that people can count on us. If somebody is only going to do whatever they like to do, others can't trust such a person. Can we count on someone who is very moody? And you promise you'll be here, why don't you come? I don't feel like coming. And then if a surgeon has to do surgery and surgeon doesn't come, why don't you come? The patient is like, I don't feel like doing surgery. It won't work. The world requires responsible people. And responsible, in one sense, you can say the responsible are reliable. So we want to have deep friendships, we want to have trust of people, we need to be responsible. And C was the culture around us. Culture means, the culture leads to what is to be feared, what is not to be feared. So now it is for us to choose which culture we want to belong to. We all belong to different social circles. Some social circles, they bring out the negative within us. And some social circles bring out the positive within us. So knowing whose rejection to fear and whose rejection not to fear, that is important. So here I see the example of Karna and Krishna. Karna feared the criticism of Duryodhana, but actually he could have done greater good to Duryodhana by not saying this. So in trying to be cool, we sometimes become cool. So what culture we have. Then finally, what is the state I want to attain? So here I discussed about, now with the action, this is going to, there's free, there can be for or free from. Now if I'm free for, that means there's indulgence. That indulgence, what it leads to, eventually it feels like freedom, feels free, but it leads to one. On the other hand, free from means discipline. Like we discussed in the West, the sexual revolution. The sexual revolution means be free for whatever I want to do. That freedom for lust, what has it resulted in? It has related to divorces, family breakdowns, it has related to loneliness and insecurity, and it is related to childlessness. Now, all this we're not even talking about, say, other spiritual effects of all this. The sociological itself is a disaster. So discipline, it can feels like bondage, but it leads to freedom. So somebody says, I won't drink alcohol, and then they don't even get tempted by alcohol. It's a great feeling. So if we look at the long-term consequences, what is the state I want to attain? What is the state this particular choice is going to fulfill towards? And each one of us can become equipped to take better decisions. And let us pray to Krishna that whatever wisdom he has given us, that we learn to better observe and discover our natural attractions, that we become more responsible for whatever roles we are playing, that we choose the healthy culture that will help us fear the things that take us down, and we won't fear rejection by unhealthy circles. Finally, give us the intelligence, my Lord, to see this, the state that I will attain. More importantly, being free for certain things is to be free from certain things. The discipline will lead us to the freedom to fulfill our potential, to fulfill the destiny that God wants for all of us to bring good to ourselves and bring good to others. So Krishna Bhagwan ki, Krishna Bhagavad Gita ki. Any question? We are discussing about this culture. So what to be, what to be. So many times, so there are two societies to which we may belong. A and B. And we want that we should be identified with some healthy culture, but still, because of past actions, we are already like conditioned to follow certain unhealthy attractions, and because of that, we go toward that culture which we don't want to be the part, but still we might get. Yeah. So there's two different things in our life. There is what we desire or what we want, and there is what we want to want. So what we want to want are our values. What we want are our desires. So our desires often spring from the conditioning of the mind, but our values come from or they get sustained and strengthened by our intentions. So we cannot immediately change what our mind will desire. And because of that, we will push in particular directions. But if our values are strong, okay, this is what I want, right? This is what I want, this is what I want to do. Then what will happen? There will be some conflict internally. But over a period of time, things will change. Where it's like what I want is pushing me in one direction, it's pulling me in one direction, but I know this is what I want to do. So what I want is what what latest programs are over TV, who has posted what on social media. But what I want, I want to become expert in the field that I'm studying. I want to learn some spiritual wisdom. I want to become a well-rounded individual who is wise, not just informed about here and there, but who is actually wise. So what happens is to the extent we strengthen our intelligence. So what will happen, even if we go off in a wrong direction, we will go for a failure. We'll go and we'll come back. So this you could say the intelligence, but over a period of time, the intelligence will become stronger. And this may happen gradually. So what we will not be able to give it up immediately. If we can't give it immediately, we have to look at gradual signs of progress. That means, am I becoming fit? So is the frequency of what I'm doing decreasing? Is the intensity or the severity decreasing? That means somebody has a tendency to spend a lot of time watching movies or reading politics or just on social media. So now, in the past, every day, 5 times, I go on social media. Now, I go once a day. Then, intensity is how far? Like you read some politics, you can read some this, read some that. Some people go into like very obscene and vulgar and kind of things. How bad? So it's like how often, how bad? Sorry. Yeah, how often, how bad, and how long? Duration, time duration. So how often, how bad, how long? So if each of these we are decreasing, that is also should be seen as a constructive change. It may not come from 1 to 0. So sometimes our spiritual progress might not be, our growth may not be digital. Like I was doing this, I gave it up completely. It needs to be analog. Can we still be doing it? But it's decreased.
So the first point of attraction is everything. So in begin chapter we know more about our goodness, passion, and ignorance. So we also know that some person must have more propensity to be in one part of one type of goodness or passion. If our natural tendency is to be in more mode of ignorance or passion, how can we elevate it more good by our intelligence? Practically, how can we change that?
There is a difference between pravritti and guna. So there can be a musician, their pravritti is music, but their guna may be sattvic, rajasic, or tamas. So the guna is sattvic, they make soothing, uplifting, calming music. If their guna is rajasic, then they will make very passionate, noisy kind of music. For them, soothing music will be very boring. Somebody tamasic, they will make music that destructive, rebelling the society, destroying all kind of dark things, calling for violence. So that what we're talking about, pravritti is not the guna. Pravritti is the natural attraction. So in one sense, Duryodhana also had the pravritti of Kshatriya, Bhima also had the pravritti of Kshatriya, Yudhishthira also had the pravritti of Kshatriya. But Yudhishthira was more in Sattva, Bhima was in Rajas, but Bhima was guided, he would listen to Yudhishthira. That's how his Rajas did not become too much. Unfortunately, now Duryodhana was in Rajas also, but he was affected by tamas. The tamas of Dhritarashtra was that Dhritarashtra would not control him at all. Just allow him to do whatever he wants. And tamas of Shakuni was that what Duryodhana wanted to do, Shakuni gave worse ideas for him. Tamas can have both this. Tamas can be inactive or destructive. Both can. So Duryodhana was dragged down there. So the guna and the pravritti are different. Now, as far as the question of guna is concerned, can the guna be changed? Sattva, rajas, tamas? It will take time. That somebody is in tamas, that in the mode of ignorance, that person cannot suddenly come to sattva. But from tamas, even coming to rajas, is this time? Like a person with tamas, that person may not even want to have a job. The person may just want to live on their parents or live on society, the welfare society. But from there, the person comes and starts taking up a job and is responsible enough to take care of a family. For tamas to rajas is good. Rajas also will come. So gradually, from wherever we are, we can rise up. And especially if we can, from wherever we are, we can take hold of Krishna. Somehow we can connect our consciousness with Krishna. Then Krishna, Tesham Apani Samudharta. Krishna can lift us up quite a bit. So thank you very much. Shri Bhagavad Gita ki Prabhupada ki Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Very grateful to all you for coming over here to Varanasi. I'm very happy to know last 2 days through the college prayer rush. So he gave very enlightening talk. Thank you for it, prayer rush. All the faculties and many students they attended the talk. In fact, I'm correct. I got to know that the director was so happy and inspired by Prabhu's talk that he's deciding to start a credited course for the mandatory course for students of diplomatic prayer, first semester and third semester. The first semester it will be a mandatory course based upon Srimad Bhagavad Gita for all the diplomatic prayer students, and in the third semester it will be a optional open elective. So let's thank for beautifully helping all of us how we can make proper decisions in life by following the R's formula. So let's thank those by one time loudly chanting the Hare Krishna Mantra. Hare
So this is from his latest book, Gita for CEO. So this book will be available outside. So one devotee is putting up a stall over there. So the cost of this book is 350 rupees. So those devotees who wish to purchase it, they can purchase. And those will also be available there outside. So you can get the autograph. Right.
So basically, the Gita is often seen as a philosophical or religious book, but it has, like I talked today, a very practical guidance for decision making. So I presented the Gita as a conversation between two individuals. One is a corporate leader who wants to know about the Gita, and another is a corporate leader who knows the Gita. And they have discussions of how to be resilient, how to be positive in our attitude, how to be mindful, how to have, how to purpose, to have a clear purpose, how to be visionary and innovative. These kind of attributes, how they rise from the Gita's worldview, that's described. And like I was doing some simple sketches and diagrams, especially like that. There are sketches also illustrating the concepts. And we may or may not be CEOs right now, but we are CEOs of our own life. So in that sense, we are meant to be leaders of our own life, and we all have the potential to be CEO in the future. So the Gita is a book for guide us to bring out the leader within us. So if you want, we are available. Thank you so much. Hare